Good morning, good morning. It is Monday, the 8th of September. It is 9 a.m. Good morning, good morning. Lovely to see you all this morning. And welcome to today's Burnoutology Live. I am Kelly Swingler, your Burnoutologist, and today we are talking about self-care is not recovery. That's what we're talking about today. Self-care is not recovery. So should we get straight into it? Shall we get straight into it? If you are joining live, if you're able to join me live this morning, just give me a hello. Let me know that you're there. Let me know you can see me and hear me and everything is okay. And also maybe let me know, where are you joining me from? That's always what I like to know. I'd like to just kind of see who we're reaching. Particularly more so as platforms such as LinkedIn are doing everything they possibly can to limit me and stop all of these conversations that we're having about burnout at the moment. So it's very, very annoying, but we still keep showing up, right? We still keep showing up. So as I said, let's get into it. Today is self-care is not recovery. And we're gonna dig straight in. So if your solution to burnout is bubble baths or scented candles or journaling, all in between 12-hour work days, then sadly, my friends, you're missing the point. Burnout, as much as I would love it to be, right? Burnout is not fixed by surface level rituals. And today I'm going to explain why these quick fixes fail and what burnout aware coaching really requires. So quick one for you. If you are joining me live this morning, pop in the chat. What do you think is the most unhelpful self-care tip that you've ever been given? What do you think is the most unhelpful self-care tip that you've ever been given? Drop it in the chat. Let me know what that has looked like for you, because everybody's got self-care advice, right? I was talking to a friend of mine actually on Friday. And we were saying, if you're new here, some of you may or may not know, but I am I'm currently waiting for an operation. And I've shared a lot, not all of the details, but I have still shared quite a lot in terms of what the last 10 months have been like for me whilst I've been waiting for this operation, whilst I've been battling some of these health issues, whilst I have been having to deal with daily pain and all sorts of stuff going on. And because awareness is really important to me. I talk about it a lot from a burnout perspective, right? Awareness is like burnout ends with awareness. But also from a health perspective, I live with mental health conditions, I live with physical health conditions, I live with chronic health conditions as a result of what burnout has left me with, really. And so one of these health conditions has been misdiagnosed for 12 years. And over the last 10 months, I have really, really been feeling that. So I'm waiting for this operation. And the first time that I kind of shared a lot of the stuff that I've been dealing with, the self-care advice that I was getting in my DMs, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to try this. I'm a wellbeing coach, I'm a this coach, I'm a that coach, I do this, I do that, I do the other. This is all the stuff that you need to do. And for somebody that is living with any chronic health condition, there's usually lots and lots of things that we've tried, right? We've tried the conventional and we've tried the non-conventional. We might have tried a little bit of the woo. We will have definitely, I'd bet money on it, right? We will have tried a lot of the holistic. We will have tried lots and lots of different approaches. But then when our messages, when our DMs get constantly bombarded with you need to do, you need to do, you need to do, and some of the self-care hints and tips and advice that I receive every time I share, and I get it when I talk about burnout as well, right? I talk about this was my first experience of burnout. You need to do, right? And apparently these are These are people that wish for, right, you need to, I don't need to do anything, right? I've tried lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of things. For me, actually, what's needed quite a lot of the time is I need to do less, because I'm always looking for the fix and the solution and all of those sorts of things. So I won't share in the chat what all of mine are, but let me know what your most unhelpful self-care tip is that you have ever been given. There are definitely some horrors that I could probably share with you all. But yeah, it's quite an interesting one. But sort of, I've already shared a little bit of my experience there. But when I was in between, well, even before, right, before I reached my first burnout, everybody was telling me that I needed to rest more. Right, everybody was telling me you just need to rest more. You just need to rest more. You need to take a holiday. You need more yoga. You need more meditation. You need more of something. And I now know, and again, if you've joined me for the Burnout Academy, if you've joined any of my webinars, any of my training, it will be in Burnout 101 when that launches on Wednesday. But there is neuroscience behind why we don't just rest. Again, I talked about it in my first TEDx talk, right? Should we be thankful for burnout and what's going on in our brain? Why rest more, take a holiday is really just not helpful advice, and why switching off wasn't even an option, right? There is actual neuroscience behind that, which I share. But in between Burnout 1 and Burnout 2, so after Burnout 1, I'd started to do lots of learning. I wanted to understand what it was that I had experienced. I was working with therapists and coaches, and I was working with mentors, and I'd started learning some of the things that have helped me to join all of the dots with burnout. And I had a self-care list of things that I was, and I mean, I say now, right, I think that list was probably 15 things, and it was probably more. But things that I was doing daily, right? Self-care things that we're all told are the things that make all of the difference for us, right? Make sure that we're drinking enough water, make sure that we stay hydrated, make sure that we're eating a certain amount of vegetables, make sure that we spend a certain amount of time outside, make sure that we're journaling and doing yoga and meditation and our gratitude practice and getting X amount of sleep every night and making sure that we prepare for sleep in a certain way and doing. Like, I had what felt like a never-ending self-care list of things that I was doing. But I realized a few things. But the biggest turning point for me, because I was doing all of this self-care thinking that this is what would make the biggest difference, and then I ended up at burnout number 2, right? And the second burnout was the one that nearly killed me. So I understood, right? Self-care is brilliant when it comes to prevention, if we get it early enough. But self-care also doesn't have to be like a list of 15 things that we're doing every day in order to try and maintain a certain thing. And if we are already in a point of stress and overwhelm, if we're already almost at breaking point, adding another 2, 3, 4, 15, 30 self-care things into our life every day that just become an additional to-do list, right? An additional list of stuff that we're not really doing. I just realized my mic is so far away from me. You probably can't even hear me, can you? Not very well, because my mic is all the way over here. So let me get that sorted for you. The joys of live, right? I was like, which mic am I going from? I haven't got it in front of me. There we go. Hopefully that sounds a bit better. But yeah, so if we get to the point where self-care just becomes a list, right? If we're not embodying any of it, if we're not living any of it, if it just becomes another list of tick boxes, more pressure, more stuff to get done, more stuff to keep going with and moving with and like constantly doing, then actually self-care becomes really harmful. It doesn't help us with recovery at all. The self-care just becomes about maintenance And yet the recovery needs to be about the transformation. So let's break down why this matters, right? So if you're coaching clients or leading teams, let's talk about how you can stop offering the wrong solutions. Again, I've got another question for you. You can pop this in the chat for me. If you've ever been told to just take a holiday, right? Anybody ever said to you, just take some time off, right? Just take a holiday, when you knew deep down that it would not touch the sides? If that is you, pop me a wave in the chat. Okay. So let's go through some truths, shall we? The truths about why self-care is not recovery. Okay, so truth number one. Self-care is not about repair. Self-care is not repair. Right? Self-care keeps you ticking along when you're well. Right? When you are well and you're functioning and you're calm and your brain and your body and your nervous system and every single part of you is well and working as it should do, then self-care is about keeping you on track, right? Keeping all of that stuff going in the right possible way. But when we get to the point of burnout means that we're already overloaded. Right? Our nervous system, our brain, our body, our sense of self, all of that is already overloaded. So a bubble bath or a yoga practice or a meditation or a nice long walk or, taking photographs or flower arranging or whatever it is that you class as your self-care is not going to help when your entire nervous system is dysregulated and it's overwhelmed and it's overloaded. And journaling is not going to undo years and years and years of masking. It's not going to fix a thing. So let's be honest here, right? How many of you as coaches or as individuals, right? Even as individuals, even if we're not coaches, right? How many of you have reached for a self-care tool and then wondered why you still felt exhausted afterwards? Type me a yes in the chat if that's ever been you. I know it's been me. And again, I think the more, I suppose, again, in the early days when I was doing this, right, because self-care is really good for you. And yet sometimes I'd force myself to do the self-care and then end up feeling even worse, right? So I can definitely say yes to that one. I have reached for self-care tools and then wondered why I still felt absolutely exhausted afterwards, right? So truth number one, self-care is not repair. Self-care keeps you ticking along when you're well. Burnout means we're already at overload. And we need to just be careful of like the dysregulation and the masking and just reaching for self-care tools, but still absolutely feeling exhausted. Truth number two, quick fixes can actually delay recovery. Again, I have been guilty of this. And I suppose let's just kind of pause it, because when I talk about this stuff, when I talk about the learning that I've experienced, when I talk about not just the courses and the qualifications and the certificates and the accreditations and the letters after my name, right? It's not about all of that. I've lived this stuff. I have fallen into these traps probably more times than I can count. Again, which is why I talk about them so much. I have been guilty of, for myself, not so much for my clients, but definitely for myself, of trying to look for some of these quick fixes. So truth number two is that quick fixes can actually delay recovery. Again, I can definitely, hand on heart, say this one was me. I have spent, I dread to think, actually, I don't even think I could tell you how much, but I would guarantee like thousands on looking for the next thing, right? Be it the next shiny object or the next coach that flashed up on my Instagram. There are apps at the moment that keep coming up on my Instagram feed that are promising burnout recovery in 15 minutes for over 15 minutes a day for 15 days. They're filling my feed. But quick fixes can actually delay recovery. And there really is no quick fix when it comes to burnout. But what we tend to do when we're looking for these quick fixes and we want to go with them, actually what they do is they create the illusion of, well, I'm doing something, right? So I must be okay. I'm making progress. I'm taking action. I'm doing the thing. But again, we stay in survival mode, or your clients will stay in survival mode because they're maintaining function. They're just replacing busyness with busyness. And they're probably trying to get involved with 5, 10, 15 quick fixes a day and assuming that that is about recovery. But what these quick fixes, or the promises of quick fixes, can do is cause us to stay in this survival mode, right? The fight, flight, freeze response, our amygdala that's in this fight, flight, freeze response, right? Our inbuilt safety mechanism keeps us in this survival mode because, again, we're just maintaining busyness, we're maintaining function. But what's worse is that many coaches then reinforce this collapse because we keep prescribing tools. And I'm doing this a lot today, right? But I know I'm seeing it, I'm hearing it. Some of your clients are then coming to me afterwards, like, I worked with this person, it didn't help. Now I need you, right? I wish I'd have come to you in the first place. When I talk about burnout aware coaches know the difference with this. But many coaches are prescribing tools and self-care tools and tick boxes and more things that we need to be doing without recognizing the depth of burnout. So again, let me know in the chat, right? Have you ever caught yourself giving a client a tool or a tip and then later realize, right, hang on, that didn't touch the real issue, didn't scratch the surface. I should have thought about that, right? Has that ever come up, right? Maybe in your coaching supervision afterwards or in your coaching reflections after your session? Again, if you've been there, give me a hand. I can say that was me. In the early days when I was doing this, and I talk about this a lot, but a lot of our coach training is about solutions. It is about tools. It is about keeping people moving forwards. The first coaching qualification that I did was an executive coaching qualification, but it was a solution focused executive coaching qualification. I learned some amazing tools, some amazing tips, some amazing frameworks. And then as I started to coach more people who were at the point of burnout, I assumed that all of my tools and techniques would work for the same as they were working for my clients that weren't experiencing burnout or weren't on the brink of burnout or weren't experiencing stress. So carried on coaching in the same way, but then it was like, hang on, this isn't working for these people. Right? I need to change something. I need to be adapting because actually it's not that the tools are not working for this client that is experiencing high stress. This tool is not working for this client that's on the brink of burnout. These tools are not working for somebody that's coming through burnout. And yet we don't get told, we don't get taught this, we don't get trained in this when we're doing our training. But with the latest stats are telling us more than 50% of the workforce is at or on the brink of burnout. The stats are telling us that over 70% of leaders are experiencing burnout. If you are coaching leaders or you're coaching anybody in the workplace, at least 50% of your clients could be experiencing burnout. If you're coaching leaders, at least 70% of your clients could be experiencing burnout. And if you just carry on with the same tools over and over and over again, you're not helping that client. You are then you become part of the problem because nothing is changing for them. And they will do the tools, right? They'll say yes, they'll show up, they'll do the whatever it is that you're asking them to do, right? They will keep doing that. But they're just doing more. They're just replacing busy with a different sort of busy. Okay, so truth number 2, quick fixes can actually delay recovery. So if you've ever caught yourself giving a client a tip or a tool and then later relying on that didn't touch the issue, that wasn't the thing that I should have done, I've just pushed them into more busy. Again, a sign we need to be more burnout aware. Okay, and then truth number 3. What are we doing for time? We're doing okay and keep it on track. Truth number 3. Real recovery requires burnout aware approaches. I'm not gonna stop talking about this one, right? Real recovery requires burnout aware approaches. Mentioned a few minutes ago, didn't I? Understanding the neuroscience of burnout, understanding how the brain keeps pushing us, why the body disconnects is needed. I know a number of the coaches that have already come and trained with me in the Burnout Academy. They know this next bit already, right? But they understand somatic awareness. They're able to help clients reconnect to the body. I was so, and I think for me, this has still become a bit of a default for me, right? Being able to completely disconnect from my body became the norm. So when I was passing out on trains, if anybody is familiar with Liverpool Street Station, there's street level, there's an escalator that then takes you down to the concourse. I once fell from the top of that escalator. I like passed out at the top of that escalator and fell all the way to the bottom. That's a huge escalator. And I still managed to pick myself up with my tights, my tights all laddered. Still managed to get myself up, get myself on the train and get back to the office. When you've just fallen down an escalator and you've got cuts and bruises and everything's, but I was able to dissociate. The fact that whilst I was in hospital, working away from my hospital bed, just tapping away on my laptop, doing all of my calls, my body was literally shutting down and this dissociation was real. Getting the Burnout Academy alumni, we've done a session on dissociation. How we're able to dissociate so much from our body and our mind. And it is literally like we can separate, right? Brain's doing one thing, body's doing another. But we're able to just kind of keep ourselves in our head all of the time. Yes, the body's in pain, but we can just switch off. Yes, we're in hospital. And almost part of me kind of wishes over this last 10 months when I've been in so much, but I have not had one pain-free day since last November. The level of painkillers that I'm on at the minute is ridiculous. And yet there have been days where I thought, God, I wish I could just go back to how I was before. Right? Imagine if I couldn't feel all this. Imagine if I could just carry on. That was my default thinking. Well, just like imagine, like I managed to do it when I was at burnout. Or imagine if I could just, but it's completely the wrong thing. The fact that I'm experiencing 10 months of pain in the way that I am because I disassociated so much from my body 12 years ago when I was experiencing my first burnout. It's because of that dissociation. It's because of the fact that I kept pushing. It's because of the fact that I just kept on going. It's because of the fact that my coach didn't spot the signs. And my family and friends just kept saying, switch off, Kelly. But the neuroscience wasn't allowing me, right? What was going on in my brain? It wasn't allowing me to stop and switch off. If one person 12 years ago that was in my life, in my circle, either at work, in family, in friends, my coaches, anybody, if one of those people had been burnout aware, maybe I would not have reached that first burnout that caused me to live with 3 chronic lifelong health conditions. And maybe if during burnout 1 and burnout 2, just one person had been burnout aware, I wouldn't have got close to a second burnout that very nearly killed me. And maybe then 12 years later, I wouldn't be living with the pain and the symptoms and everything that I'm living with now if one person had been burnout aware. And this is why I'm so passionate, right? Burnout ends with awareness. So it's truth number 3, real recovery requires, put my teeth back in, real recovery requires burnout aware approaches, understanding the neuroscience, working with somatic awareness, addressing the toxic context, right? Because you can't recover someone back into the same environment that broke them. My burnout equation, toxicity minus sense of self equals burnout. This is why I train coaches. This is why I'm training leaders. This is why I'm training your burnout aware HR professionals, burnout aware wellbeing coaches, burnout aware executive coaches, burnout aware managers, burnout aware leaders. Burnout ends with awareness. This is why I do what I do. This is why I've created the Burnout Academy. Traditional coaching techniques, all the goals, the mindset, the motivation are very often making burnout worse. Very, very often making burnout worse. So again, if you're joining me live this, or if you're not, pop it in the comments. But what do you think most coaches miss when they're working with clients at burnout? Drop a word or a phrase in the chat and let me know. Let me know what you think. Right, so here's the bottom line. I might actually be on time today. Look at me. But here is the bottom line, right? Self-care is not recovery. Self-care, if we think this is the only thing when it comes to recovery, it is like putting a sticking plaster on a broken bone, right? You don't need another scented candle. You need someone who understands burnout. And for me, this is what Burnout Aware Coaching is all about, right? It's about moving beyond the surface and working safely, ethically, and effectively with clients at burnout. This is what it's about. So if you are a coach, HR professional, manager, leader, if you want to be burnout aware, I want to invite you to start with your Burnout Aware Starter Kit. Let me pop the link for you in the chat. But I want you to start with the Burnout Aware Starter Kit, right? It's some questions, it's some videos, it's some tools, but I want you to start with the Burnout Aware Starter Kit. In fact, if you're watching this on LinkedIn, if you just click on my, what do you need to click on? Click on my headline. That's the word that I couldn't think of. It's going to be one of those days, I think. But click on the headline. You'll be able to get your Burnout Aware Starter Kit. So I want all of you to take a stop there. I'm going to pop this in the comments for everybody. But I want you to start with the Burnout Aware Starter Kit, okay? This is literally the starting point, I think, that everybody needs to know. It's some different questions, different approaches. It's going to tell you what to say and what not to say if you are coaching someone at burnout. You'll get 200 burnout truths. You'll get short video training, but this will honestly kickstart the training. If you want more, Burnout Aware 101 is launching on, not Burnout Aware 101, Burnout 101 is launching on Wednesday. If you're not already on my mailing list, you're going to miss out on the discount for that one. On Wednesday, all of my email subscribers, because it's my birthday on Wednesday, happy birthday me, but my email subscribers are going to get 45% off Burnout 101 on Monday. It's usually going to be £101. So Burnout 101 is usually going to be 101, right? You'll pay £101 for Burnout 101. But on Wednesday only, my email subscribers are getting 45% off. So if you want that, you need to be on my subscriber list. If you sign up for the Burnout Aware Starter Kit, you'll get it. If you want to go even deeper, the 2-day Burnout Aware Coach is taking place again next week. So that's taking place on the 16th and 17th of November. If that doesn't work for you, the next one is, let me just double check my notes, 26th and 27th of November. So if next week doesn't work for you, the next one is 26th and 27th of November. But if you want to go even deeper, and you want the accreditation and the learning, you want to understand burnout, all of the neuroscience, all of the somatics, all of the breathing, what burnout is and isn't, and you want to be a master burnout coach, then my master burnout coach training is 12-month, really in-depth program. Is starting on the 17th of November. 12 full months with me. You'd also get free access to the Train the Trainer, 5-day Train the Trainer, 4 coaching sessions with me, plus all of the group coaching, the peer mentoring sessions, your coaching clients, your accreditation, absolutely everything that you need. We're going to start on the 17th of November. So that's all of that. But start with the Burnout Aware Starter Kit. And again, before you go, drop me your one takeaway from what we've discussed today. What's your one takeaway from today's session? What has landed for you the most? I'm on time for once. I'm going to finish it there. I'm going to say thank you very much for joining. Remember, bubble baths, as much as I'd love them, I love a good bubble bath, especially with beautiful smelling oils or bubbles or any of that sort of stuff. Bubble baths are not going to save you from burnout, but awareness will, because burnout ends with awareness. I'll be back with you again next week for next week's live. Go have an amazing week, an amazing Monday, and I will see you again soon. Take care for now. Bye, bye, bye.